in many other countries in Africa, traditional media is firmly controlled by the regimes. In Uganda's case, m- traditional local media is very, very controlled. So we rely largely on international media, and in particular, Voice of Africa has been very helpful. It has been more or less our voice from far away. It is the voice that elevates our plight, that shine a light on our plight. In my particular case, I am alive largely because of Voice of America that amplified the demand for my release from military torture chambers, and it has continued to help us survive by making the struggle for democracy and human rights visible in Africa and in Uganda in particular, and that keeps the hope alive. And closure of VOA is not only going to have an impact on the fight for democracy and human rights, it is already impeding the struggle for democracy and human rights because we feel like we are struggling in the dark. And democracy dies in the dark. So it is our hope and prayer that Voice of America and many other channels that focus on the plight of Africans are open.
And still on the same point, if you look at Uganda's political trage, in the context of national development, how significant do you think these outlets, of course, giving in context of not only VOA but these other outlets, how do you think they provide essential information that, of course, contribute to Uganda's progress in human rights, education, and socio-economic development?
Um, those international platforms play a great role of keeping the government here in Uganda accountable and cautious of any wrongdoing or any abuse of democracy or human rights. Not that they don't do it, but they do it with a cautious mind, and in many ways it limits the extent of the abuse of democracy and human rights just because there is an eye watching. Yeah.
As we conclude, maybe
Well, I want to take this opportunity to send a message of condolence to Voice of America over the loss of the great Shaka Sali. He was such an important voice, an important contribution to information dissemination. And he was an ordinary voice of reason from Uganda here. It's very unfortunate that you lost him, that we lost him. But also to request the leadership and staff of Voice of America not to stop doing what they're doing because they have and continue to give hope for democracy and human rights in Uganda generally, particularly, and Africa generally. Yeah.
then finally, we are going to elections.
While we need electoral reforms, even the laws as they are right now, if respected and followed, can deliver us to a better place, can deliver us to democracy. But yes, if we were to have electoral reforms, then the first reform should be to change who appoints the Electoral Commission and ensure that an independent body is the one that appoints the Electoral